welcome to the course Heat Exchangers Fundamentals and Design Analysis. If you recall, we were discussing the special topic on micro heat exchangers. So, micro heat exchangers, as you have seen that it is a special class of heat exchangers, where the heat exchanger passages are very small. Basically, these channels, the channels of micro heat exchangers can be called as micro channels, and also the micro heat exchangers, they handle less amount of fluid. So, in that way they are slightly different from compact heat exchangers, though there are lot of similarities. And as the channels are of small dimension, so we find that the physics of the flow phenomena and physics of heat transfer, that is different. And in that respect, two special effects due to the small size of the channel that has been already discussed. One is slip at the wall, that means at the wall the velocity of the fluid and the velocity of the solid, they are not the same. For most of the cases the wall is stationary, but the velocity is not equal to 0 at the wall. So, this is called slip, the phenomenon of slip. And in case of conventional heat exchangers or conventional passages, larger passages, macro passages, we find that the temperature of the wall and the temperature of the fluid adjacent to wall, they are the same, but in micro channel there is a temperature jump. That means, temperature of the fluid at the wall and temperature of wall, they are different. So, these two phenomena has been discussed in our last lecture, and the boundary conditions then they are different for micro channel and macro channel. With this, let us proceed to the next slides. Here I have given two equation for fully developed flow. Fully developed laminar flow with first order slip at the wall, slip just now I have explained what is first order slip, with constant properties is considered. From momentum balance for parallel plate channel, we get u is equal to 3 by 2 u m, and then 1 minus y by d whole square plus 4 k n divided by 1 plus 8 k n upon 1 plus 8 k n. So, most of the symbols you can understand, but even for your benefit, let me explain it. U is the velocity at any point. Suppose we consider a channel, let me draw it here itself, so that it will be clear. Suppose we consider a channel, parallel plate channel, and the thickness of the channel or width of the channel, that is d, and in this direction we have got y. So, at any y, the velocity u is given by this particular formula, and then u m is the average velocity, y is the distance from the bottom wall, let us say, d is the width of the channel, and k n is the Knudsen number. Already we have defined what is Knudsen number. So, then we will get this formula, get this expression. Now, you see in this expression, if Knudsen number is equal to 0, then the flow is your flow through conventional channel, and it becomes the, or it gives the expression which we have derived for plain Poiseuille flow or flow through parallel plates earlier from momentum equation. Similarly, for circular duct, we will get the next equation. Here for the circular duct, again if we draw the figure. So, let us say this is your capital R and any dimension that is your small r, and then at any radius r the velocity is given by this formula, and obviously it depends on Knudsen number. If it is macro, if it is a flow through macro sized pipeline or tube, then what will happen? Then we will have your k n is equal to 0, and then our equation is u is equal to twice u m 1 minus small r by capital R whole square upon 1, that means k n is equal to 0 in this case. So, this will be the equation conventionally we get for Hagen-Poiseuille equation or for fully developed flow through a circular pipe or tube. So, for slip flow continuum based equation has been, for slip flow continuum based equation has been considered, only boundary condition depends on slip. So, this is just an example how in case of macro channel flow the analysis is slightly different. Of course, if we go to transitional region or free molecular region, there will be a larger amount of difference. So, with this let us move to another important aspect of microchannel flow. If we go to the next slide, if we go to the next slide, let me go to the next slide. So, we define another or rather another aspect becomes important in case of microchannel flow. As I have already mentioned that in microchannel flow, as the surface area is large compared to the volume, at the wall there is viscous resistance. Due to viscosity at the wall, there will be lot of resistance, and that is why ultimately what we will get? We will get a viscous dissipation which cannot be neglected. Viscous dissipation is there always. When a fluid flows through some sort of a channel, whether it is a macro channel or micro channel, there will be viscous dissipation. That means, due to viscosity there will be some loss, and that loss of energy will be converted into thermal energy. This is called viscous dissipation. Ultimately, that will get converted into thermal energy. Now, this viscous dissipation is neglected in many of the cases when we do the analysis for conventional channels or channels of larger size. The friction between the layers of viscous fluid results in heat generation. Viscous heat generation is neglected in many cases for macro scale flow, but it is an important entity for micro channel flow for large as the surface to volume ratio is large. So, we introduce a number called Brinkmann number, which is also a non-dimensional number, which represents the viscous heat generation. Now, the definition of Brinkmann number, that depends on, it is a heat transfer problem. So, it depends on the boundary condition. So, the here you see Brinkmann number that is given by Beer, and two expressions have been given. Beer is equal to mu into u m square, mu is the viscosity, dynamic viscosity, u m is the mean velocity u m square divided by k into T w minus T I. So, valve temperature and the temperature of the fluid. So, by this we can get Brinkmann number when the wall temperature is given, and when the wall temperature is not known, it is not a constant wall temperature case, but there is a heat flux that is specified at the wall, then we will have mu into u m square divided by q w into d, d is the characteristic length of the channel. So, Beer gives the relative importance of viscous heat generation to heat transfer in the fluid. So, this is our Brinkmann number, and Brinkmann number is often associated when we will do the convection analysis of microchannel flow or flow through microchannel, because viscous dissipation we cannot neglect in case of microchannel. At least we should try to see how much is the contribution due to viscous dissipation. We cannot be ignorant of viscous dissipation in case of microchannel flow. So, with this, let us go to the next slide. Next slide, what I have done after we have seen what is our temperature jump, what is our velocity slip, and what is Brinkmann number, I have taken just an example, very simple example, just to give some idea. And this is the problem or example. In an airflow at a mean temperature of 40 degrees Celsius through a heated micro pipe with diameter of 0.24 millimeter, Knudsen and Brinkmann numbers are 0.06 and 0.01. So, we have got Brinkmann number and Knudsen number that has been given. Calculate the fully developed heat transfer coefficient for air for constant wall temperature and constant wall heat flux boundary conditions. For these two conditions, we have to calculate the heat transfer coefficient. Reynolds number is calculated to be 600 at 40 degrees Celsius for these conditions. K is 0.067 watt per meter Kelvin. K is the conductivity of the fluid. Mu equals to 1.912 into 10 to the power minus 5 Newton second per meter square. Mu is the dynamic viscosity, and PR equals to 0.719. Additionally, these values have been given. Additionally, one table has been given also. The table is there in the next slide. Now, we have to calculate the heat transfer coefficient. So, how we can calculate the heat transfer coefficient? Consider a conventional flow situation. So, for a conventional flow situation, in such cases either one has to do an analysis and come out with some sort of a expression for Nusselt number, and from there one can calculate the heat transfer coefficient, or for such type of problem one has to look for a suitable correlation, and the correlation will be in terms of let us say Nusselt number, Reynolds number, Prandtl number, and in that equation putting the Prandtl number and Reynolds number, one can get the Nusselt number, and then in the next step one can get the heat transfer coefficient. Here we will do it slightly differently, though there are many possibilities. Here if we go to the next slide, it will be clear that how we are going to do it. So, first let us see the property table. So, property table, the Nusselt number, actually it is not a property table, it is table of the non-dimensional numbers. The Nusselt number for developed laminar flow is tabulated. So, it can be taken like this, that the way we get Nusselt number in case of flow through large size passages. So, there it is a function of Reynolds number and Prandtl number. Many of the cases functional relationship is known, but in this case at least there is effect of Reynolds number, Prandtl number, and also Brinkmann number is important, and Knudsen number is also important. So, you see, depending on the Knudsen number and Brinkmann number, we will have some correlations, which again will be dependent on Reynolds number and Prandtl number. Let me repeat it again. So, basically for getting the heat transfer coefficient, one has to know the Nusselt number. For large size passage, the Nusselt number for large size passage, the Nusselt number is given by a function of Reynolds number and Prandtl number. It is a small size passage. So, the transport phenomena will depend on Knudsen number, plus there will be viscous dissipation. So, there will be effect of Brinkmann number. Depending on Knudsen number and Brinkmann number, the Nusselt number will have a functional relationship with Reynolds number and Prandtl number. So, it is a complex kind of a correlation, interrelationship. So, for that what is done, that a table has been given. So, we have got Nusselt number, Brinkmann number, depending on Nusselt number and Brinkmann number, it is like this, that we have got a Nusselt number, we have got different values of Brinkmann number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Brinkmann number have been considered, and based on this Nusselt number and this Brinkmann number, we have got the let me explain it once again, sorry. So, we have got Knudsen number tabulated on the particular column. So, we have got Knudsen number starting from 0 to 0.1, and then we have got Brinkmann number, two different values of Brinkmann number we have considered, 0 and 0.01. So, we have considered two cases, one is constant wall temperature and another is constant wall heat flux. So, let us say we are trying to consider one situation that Knudsen number is 0.02 and Brinkmann number is 0.001 and wall temperature is constant. So, we will have this value of Nusselt number. So, Nusselt number value will be 0.74270, and in between, for in between values we have to interpolate. So, this is not very difficult to understand how this table can be used. It has been taken from a source, that this is the International Journal of Transport Phenomena, one paper, and all these important informations have been given, and Prandtl number has been assumed as 0.7 as the fluid is air. So, Prandtl number has been taken as 0.7. So, now if we have understood, then of course, the solving the problem does not take much time, because from the table we can pick up a value and that will be the answer. So, if we go to the next slide, then you can find that from the table 1 for given Knudsen number and Brinkmann number, Nusselt number for constant heat flux condition can be obtained. Nusselt number is equal to 3.4598. So, heat transfer coefficient we can calculate, and that is 390.66 watt per meter square Kelvin. That is your heat transfer coefficient. And let us complete the problem, complete the solution. So, for the other case, that is the constant wall temperature case, Nusselt number is equal to 0.50651 from the table, given table, and the coefficient for heat transfer just like before we can calculate, and it is 571.93 watt per meter square Kelvin. So, things to be noted in this exercise is that Nusselt number depends on a large number of parameters. It depends on Reynolds number, Prandtl number in case of large or conventional channels, but in case of small channels or micro channel, it also depends on Knudsen number and Brinkmann number. Just to impress upon this fact, we have taken this example. Okay. So, you can understand that there will be different correlations or tables like this, and we have to pick up the Nusselt number, or we have to estimate the Nusselt number accordingly, and from the Nusselt number we can get the heat transfer coefficient. So, let us move the microchannel, let us first consider gas flow through the microchannel. Now, why gas flow? Because the effect of microchannel, or rather the difference between the flow through microchannel and macrochannel or large size channel will be prominent in case of gas flow. You have noticed that we have discussed Mach number, compressibility of the fluid, those are more relevant in case of gas flow. So, let us see what are the attributes or what are the specialities of gas flow through microchannel. Application is for high heat flux cooling problem. Okay. So, microchannel obviously they are adopted for high heat flux cooling problem. Conventional heat exchangers are used where the dissipation of heat is not that challenging, not that high. The fabrication and design technology is still a topic of active research. So, how we will fabricate this kind of heat exchanger? So, newer techniques are being adopted, and so that is one way fabrication. But analysis also, you see the way we have got very well established correlations for macro channel flow. For micro channel flow, we do not have those established correlations. Theory is also difficult, because you see there are so many interlinked phenomena. From our earlier example, you can understand that newer dimensions are coming, because Knudsen number and Brinkman number are being important. Different geometries of channels are possible. So, actually let me tell you, we will elaborate it in our in next slide, or in not only not in the next slide, but coming some slide. In some coming slide, we will explain this, that you see different type of techniques are adopted, different type of techniques for fabrication of microchannels are adopted. Depending on the methods of fabrication, we have got different geometries of the channel, and obviously the way we get very standard channels in case of conventional heat exchanger. In conventional heat exchanger, we get circular passages in many cases. So, those kind of passages are not very common. There could be circular passages, but there could be passages of other geometry, which are very specific to micro heat exchangers. Channel geometries are dependent on the method of fabrication. They have the following advantages. The micro heat exchangers or micro channel will have the following advantage: compact size, low weight, high surface area density. So, most of them are compact heat exchangers, though compact heat exchangers and micro heat exchangers are not the same. This statement I use time and again to impress upon you that these two heat exchangers are not just the same. Enhanced heat transfer coefficient due to this passage geometry etc., we will have in most of the cases a high heat transfer coefficient. It is not mandatory to have always high heat transfer coefficient. For handling low volume of fluid, low volume flow rate of fluid, we may have unique design of heat exchanger that need not have a very, it is not always possible to have a very high heat transfer coefficient, but most of the cases the heat transfer coefficient is also high. There are certain limitations. What are the limitations? Unique manufacturing techniques are needed. We are going to spend some time on manufacturing techniques. So, you will find that the techniques of manufacturing that is not as common as in case of conventional heat channels or conventional heat exchanger. So, as we have to have some unique technique for fabrication of this heat exchanger, the cost is also high. Material of these heat exchangers are unique. So, that is why the cost is also high. Design method is not as standard as for it should be micro scale passage. So, macro scale passage So, for large passages we have got design methods very standard, but in this case it is not so. Please note down the typo in the line which I have just read that conventional size of the passages or conventional heat exchangers, the passages are large. So, we have got some very standard design practice, but the design practice yet to be standardized in case of micro heat exchangers or micro scale passages. Then clean fluids are needed. So, as the passage dimensions are small, so it is prone to clogging and it cannot withstand fouling. So, we have to consider only clean fluid through it. It could be gas flow, clean gas flow free from particulates etc., or it could be some fluid which does not have dust or dirt and which does not react with the passage material. So, that the fouling is less and there is no clogging, no blocking of the channels. So, I have shown two examples. One example, this is a typical micro channel, very simple example. So, let us say this is for electronic component cooling. So, for electronic component cooling, let us say that there is heat generation and that heat is to be dissipated. So, from that hot surface or heated surface, over the hot surface or heated surface, we can put this kind of a module. In this module, we can see that there are channels and these channels are of small size. So, through this channel, so how the channels are defined, or let us say how their dimensions are. Its length is equal to one particular channel length is L, L could be large, comparable to the conventional lengths, but there is restriction of this H. If H c is the channel height and here you see there is some sort of a W W, if this is the channel width. So, there will be restriction to W W and H c, values of W W and H c. So, basically it provides some sort of a rectangular channel. Okay. So, if there is a top cover, then it becomes some sort of a rectangular channel and this rectangular channel is of narrow cross section, height is H c which is small and width is W W which is also small. This could be one design. Another design, here we can see another design. So, this is on a metallic surface and you can see that maybe with a special manufacturing technique these channels have been made and one can see the fluid inlet and fluid outlet. So, this is a microchannel reactor for gas phase partial oxidation of toluene, a typical example, and we have given some sort of a source, it is from a paper. So, the source that has also been given. So, this is your microchannel. And obviously, in case of a heat exchanger there will be number of channels like this, probably there will be stacking. Let us say on one plate this kind of channel is coming. So, at the top of this there will be another plate. So, there will be stacking and ultimately we will have the heat transfer. So, with this let us stop our discussion. We will proceed with this, that we have started gas flow through microchannel, some of the special attributes of gas flow through microchannel we have discussed and some example of microchannel I have shown. In the next lecture, we will proceed from this point. Thank you.